to Corinne's Picks, a show about remarkable art and the careers about renowned artists. Today we have L.A. Hendrickson with us. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
You know, I've seen so much of your work in recent weeks, and I really want to get into some of your process and decision making. I mean, you've really captured so many important moments in history, so many venues that have come and gone. Tell me a little bit about your work as a photographer, and what is your vision about your work? What is your vision?
Well, my work is basically, I'm a street photographer and event photographer. And the difference is when you do the street photography, you take whatever you come across. And the event things are set up already for you. There are people that you know you're going to go take pictures of. And I like the street photography more because you don't know what you're going to come across. And it's more exciting for me. My vision, well, since COVID, I stopped taking pictures for a while. And I'm trying to get back into it now. And I'm looking to record more of what's happening in our communities. And because anything you take with your camera is going to become history. And I think all pictures are history. That's why you have some people that take pictures of their kids every day, because you'll never know when that change is going to come. One minute they're walking, next minute they're riding a bike, and they're growing. So it's an interesting thing, and I like to do a lot of street photography because I want to create that history in our neighborhoods and whatnot, how things have changed in the neighborhood.
Now you talk about street photography, but I know in a lot of your photographs you have a lot of famous people, Hillary Clinton, you have Cuomo, you have famous entertainers from the hip hop world. What are some of the major events or moments in time that you've captured, just to name a few?
Well, I got Hillary because she used to come to our union meetings. I was a transit bus operator, and the union would always invite Hillary to our meetings and what, and I was able to capture her a lot at those meetings. And the street photography is, like I said, it's things you just come up on, and I like to look
for example, I know that you've worked in entertainment. Like, what are some of the radio stations that you've worked for?
Okay, I've worked on WBLS.
Okay.
I worked on 98.7 KISS. And I worked for the Bronx Times. I worked for the Co-op City Times. My time with the radio stations was enjoyable because I never knew who was going to be there on that particular day. And I would go in there, be Dick Gregory, Denzel, or Neo, somebody like that. So it's been an interesting ride.
So I know that, you mentioned that, in fact, I want to talk a little bit about your career as a bus driver, but first I think we need to let the audience see a few of your images, because I have a habit of just talking and talking.
Okay.
They don't know what we're talking about. So can we see some of, maybe the first three images, please? Okay, this image here, it's an image of two feet, but I know that there must be some kind of reason, that you took this image of the feet. Can you tell us a little bit about
that
this
image is of a jazz saxophone player named Sonny Rollins. He was playing at Lincoln Center during the summertime, and it was on the outside of Lincoln Center. And my friend and fellow photographer Steve Armstrong and I were down at Lincoln Center, and we got there kind of late. So we were so far in the back that we couldn't see anything. Even with my long lens, I couldn't get a decent picture. So I put my camera around my neck. I walked all the way up to the stage, climbed over the barrier. I got stopped by a security, and he asked me, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to take pictures of Sonny." And he looked at me, he said, "Okay, go ahead." And he let me go. And I was in the pit, like where all the photographers were. And Sonny Rollins always wore pro Keds whenever he performed. And I always wanted to get a picture of that. And I just happened to be able to get that picture. And I took another picture of Sonny Rollins. I can't remember the name of the magazine, but it was a jazz magazine. It's now defunct and was no longer in existence. And I took a picture of Sonny Rollins at the same time that the guy from the magazine took a picture of Sonny Rollins. And they put the picture that he took on the cover of the magazine. And just so happened, I took the same exact picture that he took. So I went and brought the magazine. I didn't say anything to anybody about my being there and whatnot. But I put my picture that I had taken, I had developed it, and put the magazine at work. I just put it on the table, and everybody's going by looking, and you took that picture, and I didn't say anything. And everybody thought I had taken this picture of Sonny Rollins, and it was on the cover of a magazine.
Okay, so it's really interesting because a lot of times what you don't see is as profound as what is seen, and the choice to take pictures of the feet actually pointing to Sonny's personality.
A lot of people wouldn't have taken that picture because they wouldn't. Why would you take pictures of his feet? But I took the picture because he always wore those pro kids whenever he performed.
It also makes him like the common man wearing sneakers. Right. So let's see the next image, please.
Now that picture, it says Minister Farrakhan is all right with this Jew. That was at the Million Man March in Washington, D.C. I just happened to be walking by, and I saw this guy with that sign, and I just took that picture. I thought it would be unique and interesting further on down the line. And like it is now, people wonder, what does that mean, and where's it at? And that's where that was. That's at the Million Man March.
It's also a very controversial statement, too.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, can we see the next image?
Now that's KRS-One. It says next generation. That's when the Transport Authority was hiring new people, and the union had something called the next generation, and they would have people come in and speak to the next group of young people that were going to become transit workers. And KRS-One was there. And when I got there to the meeting, I was wondering, why is KRS here, man? And after he spoke, I found out why. He was able to hook up the next generation with slavery from way back when. And it was amazing the way he put the two together, the new generation and slavery. And I'm telling you, when KRS-One finished talking to those people from the union, they invited him to their convention and wanted him to speak down there. That's how profound he was. He did such a wonderful job. I almost couldn't take it. I was just so amazed at things that he was saying. The man is his historical genius.
You know, I'm also a fan of his. I see him on Instagram. He's still, saying things that are very profound. I want to talk a little bit more about the trouble that all artists have. Really, it's a balance between career and craft. How have you basically been able to balance the two all these years? Well,
I always had my camera. I learned when I first got on the job from my mentor, Bill Price, that you should always have a camera with you because you never know when that picture is going to come up. And when I first started taking pictures, I didn't always bring my camera because it was just too time consuming to try to get it set up and whatnot. And then a lot of times I would leave it on the bus. So I started to learn that I needed to get a camera that I could have on my hip. I have a little camera that I would always carry with me. And I would always be ready to take any kind of picture. I remember one day I was driving the bus and I got caught in a fire and the bus got stopped. And I pulled right up to where the fire trucks were and they wouldn't let me go any further. And they had this hook and ladder was up to about the 7th floor of an apartment building. And there was nothing but black smoke all around the hook and ladder. And eventually the hook and ladder backed out and you could see there was 2 firemen on the hook and ladder in the bucket. I mean, all this smoke was around this guy. And you come down, he has a cigarette in his mouth. I said, oh, wow, that would have been a great picture if I had my camera. But I didn't have my camera that day. So after that, I started carrying my camera all the time. And as far as balancing, I just had my camera all the time. So it wasn't really too much of a need to balance because anything I had set up, like on appointments and whatnot, I did on my days off. And anything I did on the job, it was just click, click, get back in the bus and going about my business and whatnot.
So how do you see yourself? Are you basically emphasizing the art or are you emphasizing the documentation?
I think I'm doing both because I'm documenting and I'm taking the pictures and I'm looking at the art because anything you take with your cameras becomes history. And I just loved doing that. And it was very simple, like I said, to have that camera on my hip. I have it on my hip now, as a matter of fact. And just to take the picture, and then you'd have to go back and write something about it so you wouldn't forget. that's what I had to learn how to do that also when I first started taking pictures. Take pictures and then get names and things like that, places. Because you can't remember, if you take a lot of pictures, everything you take pictures of.
So tell me a little bit about your influences. Who are your major influences in art? Whose photography are you an admirer of?
Well, I got to meet and work with Gordon Parks a couple of times. Bill Price, he was my real mentor. He got me started in taking pictures on the job and other places and whatnot. Bill Price was a young, I don't know if you remember the scene in The Godfather where they brought the horse.
Yes.
Well, he was the guy that was bringing that horse into the barn. And he was an actor also, but he became a bus driver. And he taught me a lot about taking pictures. And Gordon showed me a lot of things also. And then one that I could really say got me into a lot of places I had no business going was Chester Higgins Jr. He worked for the New York Times. And he got me into a lot of places where I had no business going. And working with him in these different places, he showed me how to take a lot of good pictures also.
Okay, we have about 3 more minutes until we go to a commercial break. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. What is your origins as a photographer?
Okay, I started taking pictures when my mother remarried a GI. And when I was in the 6th grade, when I was in the 5th grade getting ready to go in the 6th grade, he took us to Germany. And I lived in Bamberg, Germany for about 3 years. And that's when I started taking pictures when I was in Bamberg, Germany. My father had it wasn't old then, but a Pentax 1000. And I started using that. And from that, I started learning how to focus and use lighting and depth of field and things like that with that Pentax. And that's when I got my interest into photography.
Okay, you talk about depth of field and lighting. When you took the picture of, we're going to see a picture of a base. We've seen a picture of the feet.
Right.
What are some of the decisions, lighting and depth of field, composition, those things? What are some of the things that you're considering in the photographs you're taking now?
Well, that picture you're going to see of the base, it was in a studio, something similar to this, and it was a little bit more light in there than this, and I had to worry about reflection because it was next to a piano that had a high gloss on it. And luckily, it was a position where it was going to be intermission, and they turned the lights down just enough where I was able to get the right picture, and I was able to position myself because you didn't have to stay seated and whatnot. I was able to walk around. I was able to set up the picture the way I wanted it without even touching the instrument, and it came out very nice.
It did, indeed.
I have another picture that I don't think you have that picture. I caught Hillary Clinton when she was leaving one of our union meetings, and I caught her in the stairwell, and all I got was a shadow, and I enlarged that picture and I gave it to her, and she really liked it.
That's wonderful. So we have to go to a commercial break, and hopefully we can see some more images when we come back and dive into your world of photography. We'll be right back.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about Port Georgia?
Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
I'm sorry, I'll be back in a few hours.
Don't worry, Shag. You know I'm for you.
I know.
Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for ya. This is a true story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
Welcome back to Corinne's Picks. We've been talking to L.A. Hendrickson about his photography. We're going to see a few more images, and then I have a big question for you.
Okay.
Can we have the next image, please? Tell us a little bit
Okay,
about this
that
one.
picture was taken at Grant's tomb, and that's Clark Terry. And that young man sitting next to him was a young trumpet player. And I guess Clark was interacting with him and telling him and talking to him about his future in trumpet playing. And I was able to just come across that because Clark he wasn't performing, he was just there. I just happened to be walking by, and luckily I had my camera out, and I was able to capture that picture.
Okay, can we have the next image, please? Aha, this is the image.
Now, that's the image we were talking about
this
earlier.
Is it. Tell us the lighting.
The lighting, if you look at the piano, you can barely see the piano in the background, so everything was concentrating on the bass and the way it's sitting down. You could see the music stand to the right of the bass. And that's the first picture I ever sold and got paid for. I sold that to a bass luthier. That's the gentleman that fixes instruments and whatnot. And I took it to his shop and showed it to him. And I was able to sell it to him. But I love that picture.
And that's
I won
my
a contest.
favorite picture, actually.
I won a contest with that picture that the job was having. And I got me a little Transit Authority jacket that said whatever the contest was about and whatnot. But that's one of my favorite pictures.
That's my favorite picture for sure. And there's a backstory to the picture.
That particular picture was taken with a young man named William Shukla. He and I went to the same high school, and I didn't even realize it. And he's a professional bass player. He plays with the Greenwich Symphony. He played with the Greenwich Symphony. He's a freelance artist also. And that particular bass is one that I think is a Marichord, I think that's what they call it. And I love that instrument. And I took lessons from Bill after I realized that he was a professional bass player. And this particular picture here was at Hunter College when he was working on his master's degree, and this was his performance test.
But you also play the bass.
I play at the bass.
Yeah, you play
I wouldn't call
bass
myself
too.
a bass player.
So this is very symbolic.
I took lessons from Bill. I play at the bass because working on the transit, I was working 12 hours a day. I had a family already and whatnot. And I couldn't devote the time I needed to really get into my instrument. I went to college for 2 years to play the bass. But like I said, timing is everything. And you got 5 kids, you got to work 12 hours a day. I didn't have a lot of time to devote to my instrument, and so I kind of dropped it and let go of it. But I still have it. I'm working on trying to get back into it, even as we speak right now.
Okay, before I show the next image, I have another question for you. You know, you're an image maker. What do you think is the real responsibility, especially for an Afro-American elder? Mm-hmm. What is the responsibility of image makers today?
I think the most important thing is to get the image, get it correct, and don't do anything to it. Take it as you see it. I know a lot of people take pictures now and they doctor them up and whatnot through technology and whatnot. I'm not into that type of photography. I'd like to take my pictures the way I see them. I want you to see it the way I saw it. And I want it to be historical. I don't want to have to do anything to it to make it anything better or worse than what it was when I took the picture.
But what is the responsibility in terms of future generations, in terms of what images you take? Because a lot of things that have hurt Black people are, having certain negative images of our family life, the way we live, and who we are. So,
would you consider that negative if it's what we're really doing?
Well, that's a really good point, because if it is true indeed, because
that's what I'm talking. If it's true and you take the picture and you got the picture to show it and whatnot, it's real. That's real, and that's historical. Because I got the chance to work with Chester at Rector Street when they found that Black graveyard, And I was down there for about 30 or 40 minutes because I had to come out of there because I was with somebody that wanted to leave. And all those pictures are very historical. And I took them as they were, you know, clearing the dust and dirt around from around the skeletons and whatnot. And those were just as I saw them. And that's what I like to do. I like to have all my pictures be looked at just as I see them. I don't want to do anything to the picture to make it look any different. I want you to be able to see what I saw when I took the picture.
But I like what you say when you say the way I see it, not the way people see us, but the way we see ourselves.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so can we have the next image, please?
Now, that's a picture I took of my son. He's a minister, and he was looking for a picture that he could have to hang up in his office and whatnot. And so I set up some canvases and stuff and lighting and all that, and took some pictures of him, and that's the one he chose.
Can I have his name? Because I happen to have had a taste of some of his gospel music, so I would love for people to know what his name is.
His name is Jason Hendrickson, and he sings with a group called New Sounds.
That was some soulful music.
He's under he has a stage name he uses, J Hen.
Okay, all right. So Google him.
Google him, please do.
Okay, so the next image, please.
Now that's a picture of him. When he was younger, he played drums for Hezekiah Walker. That's why he's sitting there with that drum on the the Grammy underneath it. And they were in, I forgot the name of the college now, me in memory. But they got a Grammy for the album, and he was allowed to take a picture with it. And he played the drum, so he put his snare drum on his lap to let people know he was a drummer.
What do you think some of the major challenges are that you face, as a photographer, like maintaining your career as a photographer? What are some of the major obstacles?
Maintaining the equipment, being able to go to locations. That's one of the things that hold black photographers back. We can't get to a lot of the locations where there are all these fantastic pictures. And like being able to travel, you have to have the money, you have to have the backing. Basically, it's about money, I think, because I had met someone that worked for National Geographic, and I was trying to talk them into letting me hang out with them. But they told me I could, but I had to pay my own way. And when they started telling me how much it was going to cost to hang out with them just to go on one assignment, it was a lot more than what I could handle and whatnot. So I wasn't able to go. And I lost out on that. But that's why I always carry my camera with me at all times because, like I said, street photography, things happen just like that. And access is very important, being able to be in a location at a certain time or in an area when things are happening and whatnot.
Well, as a painter, I know that as it comes to a point where, one of the challenges are sometimes is storage. I mean, you create so much work over the years. How does that translate into photography? Like, how do you have thousands and thousands of images. How are you cataloging your images? Like, how does
that's
that work?
I didn't really do. I took the pictures, I printed them, but I had, like you said, I had so many, sometimes I didn't have time to put what the picture was, where it was at, that type of thing. So I'm definitely relying on memory. I think I haven't come across too many pictures that I don't remember where they were taken. I might run into a problem of knowing who's in the picture because they may not be famous. I know there's a picture you had that you showed me that you're going to use today that is of a politician in Co-op City. And that was the first picture I ever took for the Bronx Times. And for the life of me, I had the paper at home, but I couldn't find it. And I could not remember the person's name. But that was the first picture I ever took for the Bronx Times. So not being able to document and write down things and put them in a certain order is one of the things you have to worry about as a photographer. And keeping your pictures so that they don't get stuck together, keeping your pictures so they don't get mold on them and things like that. Access to printers so that if something happens to a picture, you could reprint it right away.
Well, I hope there's going to be an effort to, archive your photography. We have 4 minutes till we wrap up, and we have 4 pictures left. So I'm going to be quiet. Look at these images and let
That's
you
the picture I was
describe
just talking
them.
about. That's the guy right there. That's the first picture I ever took for the Bronx Times, and for the life of me, I can't remember who he was or what position he was running for. I just can't remember it. But that was in Co-op City.
Okay.
That's the former governor, Spitzer, and I took that picture. He was at a rally for the later governor. Who did Adams replace? Elliot Spitzer replaced. I can't remember who he replaced now, but that's at a rally for Cuomo. That's a rally for Cuomo. Now that's the picture I took at Restoration Center in Brooklyn. That's Harry Belafonte speaking to Mr. White. He was the treasurer for the Transit Authority, and we had it was like, I don't know if it was a party for Sparrow, the reggae person. Calypso person. Yeah. And Harry was there, and Ozzie Davis was there, Ruby was there. And I just happened to get those two talking to one another. That's what that picture's about. There's the picture of Hillary and Big Bill.
Okay, so
that's at the rally for Como also.
Okay, so we have like 2 minutes till the end of the show. And before we leave, I want you to just, what are some considerations if a young person wants to be successful as a photographer? What would you say?
I'd say you'd have to be patient, get good equipment, and try to get hooked up with a mentor. Try to find somebody that's doing it already that can take you around and give you the ins and outs of things and show you what to do, what not to do, how to get into places. Because I have a lot of things, a lot of pictures that I took where I have no business being there. And I was able to convince people to let me in.
So when you say be open to a mentor, somebody like you?
Yes, but if I'm not working now, but if you want to take pictures with somebody, you have to find a mentor that's actually working and whatnot.
Okay.
But if someone came up to me and asked me to be a mentor, I could show them a lot. Okay.
Well, you know, I am very humbled by you being on my show. Thank you, and hopefully we can continue discussion in the future.
I hope so, because this is something that I'd never even thought about doing with my photography, and it makes me think about doing more with my photography, because I've taken a lot of, like you said, I've taken a lot of political pictures, a lot of famous people, and they're just sitting at home. And from working with you and doing this a similar show with Cool Clyde, the DJ, it's making me want to put my pictures together and try to present them in a book or maybe so people can see some of the things that I've seen during my lifetime.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being a
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we can continue this conversation
I hope so.
in the future. Thank you.
And maybe we could bring my other mentor, Steve Armstrong, on with us next time.
Absolutely. Another great, I'm also a fan of his too.
Thank you for having me.
I'ma show you how to party.